Do you want a quick and easy, clear rundown of how to replace your iPhone 7 Plus's screen? Stick around and I'll show you how. It starts with the penelope screws at the bottom like previous generation iPhones. Then you take a metal prying tool and pry the screen off from the aluminum. Then you slide the screen down a little bit to separate it, and then you open it like a book along the long edge. Then there are 7 screws on the inside, 4 in the middle plate, and then 3 on the top plate, and they are tri-lobe screws. That's the first I saw those type in an iPhone. Make sure you remember where you put the screws. I put the plates with the corresponding screws because they're not all the same length. Then pop these 2 ribbon cables off in the middle and then the one at the top. Once you do that, you can separate the screen, and I took the side screws out, they're tri-lobe as well. And then I moved to the bottom where the home button is and took those 4 tri-lobe screws out, took the plate off, and then be careful with this ribbon cable. It's a little bit hard to pry off, and you don't want to damage it because then Touch ID won't work anymore if you get a new home button. And then it slides out the front of the screen. Then you take 5 Phillips screws out of the top plate. These are Phillips screws, so they have 4 points. Once you do that, the speaker comes out fairly easily, but the ribbon cable that stays behind is harder because it's glued, and again, you don't want to break this. You can replace this, but it's easier not to have to. Then take the plate off. I had already taken 5 of the 6 screws out. You can see I only had the bottom one left. There are 3 screws on that side and 2 on the other, and then that bottom one too. And then put the ribbon cable back. There are 2 pegs on the screen and 2 corresponding holes on the ribbon cable, so it'll help you line it up. But make sure you stick everything back to where it belongs and you line everything up correctly. Then you put the speaker back, and it's really tricky to hold everything together and put the plate over top of it like so. And then holding all of that together while putting the screws back in is very tricky. I will link this kit in the description below. I really liked it. It's one of the better kits I had. The screwdrivers are magnetic, so that made the job easier of holding everything together while putting the screws back into those tiny holes. Once you do the top, move to the bottom, feed the fingerprint sensor back through the front of the screen, and there's also a peg here with a hole in the ribbon cable, but I only lined it up after I snapped it back into place, the connector that is. And then you can put the plate back and all of the tri-lobe screws back. There's 4 of them. Once you do that, you can snap the ribbon cables back into the phone and test out your screen. Make sure it works before you close everything up. I just want to tell you that it's no longer water resistant once you take it apart. So I actually cleaned up the remainder of the gasket that was left behind, and that required me to take the screen off again. So I tested it out again to make sure I connected it correctly, and it worked. So then I went ahead and put the top plate back on and the 3 screws. And once I finished that, I moved to the middle plate, which has 4 screws right there. I will also link in the description a video by, I think his name is Jerry Rig Everything. He does it only a minute slower, but his video is shot way closer so you can see more detail. Then slide the top in under the aluminum, and once that's snug, squish it all down starting from the top and work your way to the bottom, and then the 2 penelope screws, and you're done. Enjoy your new screen.